Welcome, everybody. This is another week of Unlock, and we are here to share the updates of what's going on in the DAO. Apologies for any confusion about getting into the space. We've had a little bit of issues with Google Meet and permission handling while Stella's away. She'll be back next week, so we'll get that fixed. So this is the last week, hopefully, of that confusion. To add to the confusion, my webcam died this morning during the marketing call, and so I am no longer able to stream my face, but hopefully everybody can continue to hear my voice. And I got the restream figured out so that my audio is actually going through on the restream this time, so everyone can hear my voice now that they can't see my face. Yeah, so here we are, the weekly DAO call. Thanks, Danny and Anupa, for joining. And we've got a little bit of an agenda. It'll probably be a light week since so many people are unable to make it. But otherwise, let's dive into it and see what's been going on with Unlock this week. So we have a couple of governance proposals that have gone through. We had another snafu with not meeting quorum on one of our proposals. There were a couple of us, well, like I said, some people have been on vacation, and a few others, like including myself, I have to accept responsibility here. I missed the window to vote on that one, so that was my bad. Yeah, we have that proposal back up. It will be coming back around, so next week it should be live for voting. And currently, right now, there is a proposal for the P2E Inferno, which we got an amazing update from Danny last week on everything that they've been accomplishing, which is really satisfying to see that progress. So let's make sure we reward that progress with approving voting on. I'm not saying you have to, vote one way or the other, but this is a predetermined, it's a second tranche of something a grant that has been approved by the DAO. So there's mostly execution that needs to happen here. So let's get out there, get your votes in. If there's any issues with the proposal that you see when you review it, be sure to bring it up. There's a forum thread on Discord. If there's any mistakes, we have to hold each other accountable to that. Sometimes it's easy to put something up incorrectly, forgetting to put the payout address or something like that, happens. So if you are technically minded, make sure you give the proposal a good look, but everything is up and ready for voting. So let's get things pushed through. And that's pretty much it for governance right now. Nothing else on the docket, but in the topic of proposals, Nupa had a really great topic to discuss in today's call. So I think this is a good kind of segue into talking about proposals in general. And it is intimidating to come into a DAO and figure out how to make a proposal, right? There's nobody that's going to necessarily hold your hand through that. This is kind of a self-initiated environment, right? So you have to, Danny's in charge of the P2E Inferno project, and it's his responsibility to create the proposal to get the payout for the grant that was approved for him. And so there's a lot of personal responsibility involved in governance in a decentralized organization. And it is challenging to know what you should do, how to go about this process, what is the appropriate steps to take, how do you engage the community, how do you know what to propose, what numbers to put in there. There's a lot of questions that come up. So I don't know, Anupa, if you had some thoughts or specific questions you wanted to dive into on this topic, but I think it would be really productive for us to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, Triggs, for giving us this overview. So, just to circle back on, let's say we do have a lot of people who are already seasoned, but, just to get like a new group of people to, let's say, come up with their proposals. Like for me, a couple of questions is that, when we submit a proposal, and I think Danny can also pitch into this conversation, what is the requirement? Is it just the proposal? Do we need to come in with a MVP that works, or can it just be the idea, and maybe or maybe just a dummy of how that idea would look? what all do we need to add in a proposal apart from what the project is about. We need to add in the costing, is like development cost. Does a person need to already have, let's say, a kind of a team ready for, proposing, or does, can they just do the whole thing on their own? Yeah, I just wanted to know that. And maybe like if one of you could just share screen also, I think it'll be good for people to just know that, okay, this is where you find proposals, this is where you, maybe we can even do an FAQ, for people to just know that, okay, this is how it works. Because I'm guessing the process is similar for a lot of other DAOs and protocols, but do we have something specific, or for newcomers or early adopters, in that sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of great points, Danny. If you want to go ahead, feel free to
Oh,
share your thoughts. Oh,
one more. What
okay.
makes a good proposal? What makes a bad proposal? Yeah, that too.
Well, definitely, I gotta second what you said, Triggs. That is definitely a lot, and honestly, there's no one way to go about these things because it's a DAO, it's a decentralized organization. It's not like a traditional organization where they have like a rule book or something. But like in my experience in the DAO, like I think this process has evolved a lot. So originally we used to have the snapshot thing going on, which we used for temperature checks. And so when a community member had a proposal or an idea, you would create a snapshot proposal, talk to the community about it, come on the DAO call, talk about it, and then you would create a temperature check, and that would give you an indication of how the DAO feels about it. If the temperature check passed, then it kind of gives you a good idea that people are in support of that idea, initiative, or whatever it is. And then you can go on to create the proposal on chain, which is Tally. And then when it gets approved, then you can go ahead and do the thing. So we no longer use snapshot, but the principle is still sort of like in place. And I think that is something that you can follow for like whatever it is that you're trying to do, regardless of the numbers or the back and for whatever the details are. You would kind of like get a temperature check from the DAO. So how do you do it now when snapshot is no longer used? So we have the Discord threads and we have the DAO calls like this. So you would come on to the DAO call, try to educate the community or inform the community of what it is that you're trying to do, get feedback, and then you would create a thread on Discord for that initiative, and people are going to interact with it, like share their opinions and their feedback, and if the community is in support of that idea, then you would definitely get a sense of it. And if maybe things need to be changed or tweaked, you're going to like get that in that process. And if the community is not in support as well, you would also get that through that temperature check process. But if your idea or initiative is largely supported by the community, then you can go ahead to create a tally proposal or on-chain proposal, and the community would vote on it. So if you have a good support during that process, there's a very good chance that the proposal is going to pass. So since it's a DAO, nobody is stopping you from going to tally, even if you don't get like the support. You could still go on to create it. It's just that you're very likely to not get community support because you already saw the signs that people really didn't want that, or maybe there were things that you needed to change or tweak and you didn't do that. So that's pretty much the process, and it's kind of like a 2 or 3 step. Like you have an idea, you come to the DAO call or the Discord, you communicate with the community. I highly recommend you come to the DAO call because that's the best place to like interact with people on like real time. I mean, you can interact real time on Discord, but sometimes people are async, they might not be available. So when you're in the DAO call, you can interact with the stewards. If like they're all available or some are going to be available, so you can get a decent feedback from that process, and you can then, if you don't exactly know what to do, you might be able to get guidance on what to do next, and then you can kind of take it from there. So that's like the process that I've seen happen over the years. That's the process I've taken, and I think that's what I would recommend for anyone.
Yeah, that's great, Danny. Thanks. That kind of clears out, at least the approach of, like once the proposal is created and, what to expect. My next question to you. So when you were actually making the proposal, did you have a link or a dummy or a prototype, not dummy, sorry, a prototype to what you were going to build? Or was it just, conversation that, yeah, I would like to build this, or you had some reference that was working or not working?
So for me, I'd usually like to have something going on because I like to take on things that I know that I'll be able to deliver on and finish. So, but it's not a necessary requirement. Like I've had the Unlock East Africa grant before, which wasn't exactly building anything. It was more like a community initiative, and that kind of resulted in Unlock being adopted in East Africa. That's how we got the blockchain dev first community and all of those coming into Unlock, where we had Malika and those other people building out the community dashboard and things like that. But basically, what had happened was I traveled to East Africa because I'm from West Africa, and I was there for like a visit, and then I organized a seminar, webinar type thing, an in-person event where I got around the country, invited people that were interested in Web3 and sort of educated them about the technology and all that. And I got like a decent level of interest. There were videos and links and all that stuff that kind of gave an indication that there was appetite for this thing in this region. And so when I came back home, I thought of this initiative to actually take it back and do something more elaborate. And that's how I came up with the proposal, and I shared the experiences with the community, and they were able to see all of the other things that I did there. And so that kind of like gave a strong basis for the thing that I was trying to do. And so the community approved that, and I was able to go to East Africa and build on basically what started as just an idea to educate people there about this. And similar to that, for P2E Inferno, I had basically already built the basis of the platform. It was alive, but it wasn't as deep as it is now. So I was able to communicate what I had done and the vision that I was looking to achieve, and try to show the community like what already exists and where we're trying to get to. And so that's just my method. And so some other person might just have an idea, and if you believe in what you're doing strongly and you can communicate that to the community, then you can come on and try to show and communicate what you're trying to do. And if the community believes and supports what you are trying to do, then you don't necessarily have to have a prototype or something. But that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I can throw in some of my thoughts on that as well. I really appreciate the concrete examples that you use, Danny, because I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
And just as like from my perspective, looking at proposals that I've made in DAOs, even besides Unlock in the past, and thoughts about proposals to present in the future, the framework that I use in my mind is trying to put myself in the shoes of other DAO members while I'm creating the proposal. I don't think about the proposal from my perspective. I think about the proposal from the reader's perspective, from the other members of the DAO that are going to be reviewing it. And I try to imagine what context I'm providing within the proposal and outside of the proposal with how I engage with the community. What sort of context am I carrying with me in that engagement that helps them understand not only what my idea is, but also how I plan to execute it and what the like realistic outcome of a proper execution would look like. And so if I can establish those three things so that people understand clearly what it is, how it's going to be done, and what it's going to bring as a result. What are the, it's not necessarily metrics, but a lot of times, KPIs, metrics, these are common things that we utilize to try to quantify a result that, we've paid some amount of money for, put some amount of time into. It's helpful to be able to quantify it, but it's not always easy to be able to quantify things like, making members of a community feel valued and engaged is very difficult to quantify, but yet there still needs to be some expectation of outcome. And so as I'm working through the process of drafting a proposal and sharing it with the community, I'm thinking about that from the community members' perspective as they're going to review it. How well am I establishing the concept of my idea, the actual tangible strategy of execution, and the expectation of outcome? And it's not always clear exactly what the strategy is or what the cost is going to be, because the cost is an associated and crucial part of a strategy. If your strategy isn't realistic about the costs, then that second step is not going to land with other community members, because they're going to recognize that there's some cost that's not being accounted for properly. And it's a lot to ask somebody to understand exactly how to quantify the costs and strategy associated with an idea. So sometimes a new idea might take some time to get to the proposal stage, because you have to actually work with other people within the community and outside of the community in order to thoroughly establish that cost. But maybe sometimes it's pretty easy to figure out exactly what that is. So for example, Anupa, if you have an idea that requires some development work, but you're not a developer, it's going to be really hard for you to quantify the cost associated with your idea. And that's something where you're going to have to reach out to the community to get help from other people to establish a reasonable expectation of cost to accomplish that idea. And so you wouldn't necessarily be able to go straight to the proposal stage, right? And that's where what Danny was talking about with coming on to community calls and joining the Discord and creating a thread and starting to ask those questions can help bring people into the conversation that actually have the expertise and the time, right? Because it takes both. Just because you know how to be a developer doesn't mean you have the time to thoroughly vet an idea and create, a cost structure for implementing it. And so the more complicated your proposal idea is, then the more complex the proposal drafting process becomes. So, I do agree with Danny, like there is a little bit of a disconnect now without the temperature check component of Snapshot. It's hard to necessarily gauge interest in ideas. But that's, where we have to really right now, because of the limitations of the technology that we're using for the DAO, we have to rely really heavily on these calls to put, these kind of temperature checks out into the world. That's why we're prioritizing these weekly calls as much as we are, in my opinion. I'm being, sponsored to continue hosting these on a weekly basis so that we can give people a platform to come and share ideas and get feedback from the community. And so I think that's, a really crucial part of the process that we have to keep making accessible for people to come and join. And it's not always like you've expressed, Anup. I know it's like really late for you right now to be here at this call. And that's a barrier that makes it hard for people in other time zones to come and share their ideas within the weekly call. And so that's an area that we can improve. But the Discord does provide us with an opportunity to have more of an async engagement on these. So if you're not able to make it to a weekly call, don't hesitate to create a thread on the Discord and share the idea with people. And then we can bring it up in the call, even if you're not there to represent your idea, and draw people's attention to it and drive them back to the Discord to create that async discussion. But I do think that it's really important as our DAO matures and as our organizational workflows improve over time, that we have to really vet this process very thoroughly, so that good ideas actually see the light of day and don't disappear because the process is too difficult to get exposure to the idea. So it's on us as stewards to really help bring awareness to these ideas and give people an opportunity to find support within the community to answer the questions that are necessary in order to create a good proposal. And I know I'm kind of going on a long ramble now, so I don't have to see my face, so I can just keep talking forever. But I'll turn it over to you, Anupith, see what comments and reactions you have to those thoughts.
Yeah. No, I mean, both of you've really like outlined some very valid points in terms of the whole proposal making process. I think what is really good, that this conversation is always evolving. It's not like Danny said, that everybody has different viewpoints. So maybe, I don't know, I mean, like, as a thought, maybe we could also initiate conversation within the thread. Just start and see where it goes, where if people would like to share their own stories, maybe the fact, like you said, getting access to people at the same time zone, or at the same at the same time, might be difficult. So maybe we could have, like, I think a lot of the points that were listed today could easily become a FAQ. So even before, like, addressing the so, because we're also trying to make processes more efficient and more accessible, right? So even before they come to the DAO, they know, okay, this is important, this is what I need. Even I don't have, I might not know, but like what Danny said, even if you don't have, like, let's say, a visual idea, if it's well structured, then people can actually think about, okay, this is what it could be. And then you said that, okay, there should be some sort of KPI and metrics, because what is it that we are actually voting for. So I think, and that would also lead into the governance process. It might not be an immediate governance process, but having good and effective proposals also encourage people to build and innovate better. And if that whole, if we can create a structure that builds on this conversation in some form, doesn't have to be very direct, can just be maybe like updates, or or a FAQ page, or let's say a thread that just outlines everything. I think for people who are in the system, to just, maybe it could be a way of for them to refresh their memory, and just like points. Yeah, this what, almost like having our internal temperature check. Yeah, like, rather than going to snapshot, we actually list out these things like a form, like, okay, you're going to submit, do you have all of this in place? So I think, yeah, that could be a way also, that people are more driven in what they are proposing. There might be key things that that are needed, not only for people who are proposing the proposal, but also people who are voting. What do you keep in mind when proposals go out? And maybe this is a conversation that it can also feed into the to the marketing, where we actually have a drive that talks about all of this in a more systematic way, that it could be on Twitter, TikTok, wherever, Discord, that people keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate you bringing this up. It's making me think about what's an actionable step that we can take to keep this conversation going and have it actually turn into positive results. Developing an FAQ, like you said, for governance proposals, I think is a really good idea. So
Yeah.
maybe one suggestion that I have is perhaps if you have the time, Anupa, maybe you could start a thread on the governance forum in Discord about this topic in general. And maybe we can spend 2, 3, 4 weeks, however long it takes. I mean, it takes a while for not everyone has time to be here every single week paying attention, so we can give people some time. But maybe we can promote this discussion on the Discord and draw people in. And the goal from my mind would be like, what questions do the rest of the community have about governance proposals? You voiced a lot of really relevant questions that I think a lot of people probably are struggling and wondering about, because it is challenging to know, how do you get started with a new governance proposal? And we've had quite a few governance proposal drafts kind of get started on the Discord that didn't really generate a lot of engagement from the community, and so they never actually made it to a voting stage. And that may be because people thought it was a bad idea, or it may just be because people weren't really aware of how to engage in that process. So maybe we can use this particular topic and this particular thread that you start on the Discord as a way of kind of training people with how to come to the Discord and how to engage in a forum. Because let's make the stakes as low as possible. All you have to do is express your opinion about governance, or ask a question about governance, or just voice what your hesitation with engaging with governance or bringing in an idea forward might be. There's no wrong answers here. It's nobody's fault if they don't feel prepared to bring something forward or engage with something, but rather it's an opportunity for us as a DAO to understand what is a barrier for our members and how can we reduce that barrier. So I would like to, push people in the community to come and engage with us and just voice any frustrations you might have, or any questions you might have, or any hesitations. There's no real expectation for you to bring something specific, but rather we're seeking feedback from the community as to how we can, improve this, what should be on the FAQ. And maybe that's the deliverable of this discussion that we have in the Discord thread, is as a group, as a team, as a community, we all kind of put our input in as to what the FAQ should cover, so that it can actually be helpful in resolving, this stage of the process for people.
And the thing is that the FAQ could also be, if we want to be really detailed about it, it can be from strategy, from experience, from development, from let's say from tokenomics to impact. So it can also have various categories in which people also know that these are the parameters. And maybe this could also be a driving conversation for others to be involved in, even if they're not creating proposals. It could just be like, okay, this is how I'm helping build something that could benefit others. I think that's exactly, since we're a DAO, if we can have an inclusive conversation, even if it's via thread, and it comes up just as an FAQ, I think that's quite impactful, because it's collectively knowing what are people's gaps and challenges, or what are the opportunities. Maybe we could also pick a few, like, I don't want to demarcate and kind of uh, but like, let's say the proposals that have done well, or that or maybe actually we can ask the DAO that what proposals did they think were really good, or which had the opportunity but didn't go through for some reason. So it's not only us giving out options, but just a community conversation of what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, thank you. And sorry for the laughy face. I was trying to hit the clappy hands and I hit the laughing button instead. Oh, sorry. And I didn't have camera on, so I couldn't make a facial expression to show that was a mistake. But yes, I agree completely with what you said. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I would love to get more feedback from the community about barriers that they face that might not be apparent to us as stewards. And I didn't even know for myself personally. I made my first proposal to the Unlock community for this steward role, and I definitely did not do a fantastic job. Just kind of figured figuring it out as I go, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. It didn't prevent the proposal from actually getting approved and going through, but it was a challenging process even for someone like me who's been involved in DAOs, and I've been responsible for managing proposals for DAOs for many years, and it's still challenging to do a good job at it. So if you're struggling with how to get started with engaging in governance, rest assured you're not alone, and it's not your fault. This is hard, and everybody struggles with it, but we can work together as a team, as a community, to support each other to make it more accessible by just experimenting with the process and documenting what's been difficult and what has accessible workarounds that we can implement today at a very low cost to improve the process, and then
Yeah.
continue evolving that over time to refine as we continue to grow and get more resources to address bigger problems that we can identify.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, like it's always a good idea to look at best practices uh, in any process or any systems, thinking that we're creating. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. This has been a fantastic topic, and I'm really excited to have this continue to move forward as we, grow as a DAO and get our structures a little bit more well defined. So I think this is a really productive direction to lean into. And in the topic of being extremely productive, you have another episode of You Make Us coming out tomorrow, and yeah, would you like
Yes.
to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have Paul Brigner, who's basically building a community platform for creators or anybody interested in building their communities using Unlock for managing memberships, subscriptions, RSVPs, and more. So I think it's something that most people would like to build their own community. So it's a very valid topic, and which is something we also discussed in our marketing call today, that it's also great that if we can support each other through the projects that we're building within the DAO. So if I have a need of something and I see it's already built, it'll be great that we can actually you know build through through our own ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that update. I'm really looking forward to that going live tomorrow. And I will be there to get the restream started for you so that we can get this pushed out appropriately. And just on that stuff, oh, you're muted. If you have something you want to throw in.
Yeah, just on that topic. So should we just meet 5 minutes before it's 10 a.m. EST? So yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there at least 5 minutes early so we can kind of get things started.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of the agenda that we have. I don't know if Danny, if you had any topics that you wanted to bring up.
Well, I just wanted to share that we had another online chess tournament happen over the weekend at P2E Inferno, your favorite gaming educational community. And I just wanted to call out to the community that if you are an online chess player and you're looking for a challenge, you might want to like keep your eye out for the next one, because this one was actually really, really exciting because we recently partnered with a chess community that's involved with like the active chess community in Nigeria. So there's really high level chess players that are playing now, and so it was really competitive and actually pretty exciting. So if you play chess online and you're looking for a challenge, then you definitely want to be part of the next one because it's really going to be bigger and hotter. And so um, definitely be looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Danny, if you have any, like, let's say, any material that you want us to share about this on, the like through marketing, just let us know. we're happy to share, like, and yeah, this is actually for anyone. If you have any sort of, like, let's say, images or any sort of, I don't know, information that you want to create, like, showcase about your personal project, and or like any project, and it doesn't have to go through You Make Us. You can definitely reach out to me or any of to CC or Stella, and yeah, we're happy to showcase it. And
Yeah.
especially if it has unlock written like really large bold type, then for sure that's a no brainer.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say on that note too, and this goes for Danny and any of the many events that you host or anybody else in the community who's hosting events. We have a channel in Discord called Share Your Event. And the purpose of this channel is to share events that are happening within the community that don't necessarily have to be about Unlock. It's not just for Unlock events. The goal of the Share Your Event channel is for community members to showcase what their communities are doing and to start creating cross pollination between the Unlock community and the community of the event that you're hosting. So like for the chess example, if we were a call to action for the community from this is the next time there's a chess event, if you want to participate, Danny is inviting you to join in that. And so, Danny, next time you have a chess event, I'd encourage you to share your event in that Share Your Channel page on Discord, as well as anybody else who's doing similar things. Because that's how we can build this, camaraderie and help support each other with mutual interest. Because I guarantee you, there's people in the Unlock community that want to play chess, and so this is an avenue that we can work at to help draw attention to that and help support each other and our communities as a larger kind of ecosystem of communities. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments that anybody would like to share before I wrap things up today?
Nope, we're pretty good to go.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Hopefully you can get a little bit of your time back today since this was a shorter call. I appreciate everyone's patience and understanding with the technical problems of the wrong Google Meet links. And it's been a real struggle since we lost Huddle, because Huddle had so much better systems for sharing, admin control. Google Meet's proven to be a little bit more unreliable in that sense, and we've had some technical issues with our process to refine that. So we're getting things streamlined, though. Hopefully by next week, Stella will be back, and so I can get admin access to the official Google Meet. So the reason why we had to use this one is because I couldn't invite other people to join since I wasn't an admin. Nobody else really showed up because they probably couldn't find this link. It's challenging, but thank you for your patience. We'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled Google Meet link. So hopefully everybody can continue to join. We will just keep working at doing our best to keep things moving forward for the Unlock community.
I think one thing what we can do probably is also repost, because I know this is on Twitter, specifically saying that this conversation was geared towards proposals and, like, governance, and maybe people who are really interested in, building new proposals, or just figuring out the process can tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the advantages of using the Restream system that we're doing now, is that it does facilitate and reduce the admin overhead of creating really targeted shorts and reels and things. So this is something we can bring up with the marketing team over the next few weeks, is
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
exactly what you said.
I was going to ask you that if you have anything in the past, like especially this one, or any others, just send it over to me, and yeah, then I can, because we're always looking at making things more easier, and if it's already edited, then we can just, just keep, like, um, like shorts, YouTube shorts or something like that from it.
Excellent. All right.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. And one more thing, be posted. Danny Speaks Code is coming up next week. So, yeah, yeah, watch out.
all right, that one's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that one. So thank you, Danny, for taking the time, and Anupa for putting in the effort to make it happen. This is good stuff. So great things in store for the Unlock community. Join us on Discord. Get engaged in the forums. Share your ideas, and we will start promoting the governance topic as Anupa's discussed. We'll start pushing that out, getting some more digestible content around it, and
Yeah.
we will be pushing the conversation through the thread that she starts on the Discord forum as a central place for people to come and share their feedback. If you
Yeah.
share your feedback on other platforms that you see the content that appeals to you, that's fine. We engage with that as well, but we will work to draw you into the Discord to enhance the conversation, in that format so that it can be maximize the productivity for the entire, DAO. So yeah, meet us wherever you're at, but follow us back to the Discord. That's the goal.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good
Bye.
week.
Have a good rest of your evening.